All right, all right, all right. It is another Tuesday morning. You know what that means, folks. It is time for another Breakfast with Bill. Today we're continuing our conversation about referrals. We didn't even really get to it last week because Bill and Maddie over there had all the good content on other things. Boys, how we doing this morning?
We're great. Good morning, Evan. How you doing today?
Hey, Evan.
I am very well. Looking forward to today's show.
Yeah, we got a little chatty last week, as Matt and I tend to do when we get together. We got a little chatty as we talked about prospecting, and we didn't have a chance to get to referrals. So this week we're going to get to referrals. Matt, thanks for being back. Matt mentioned to me a little earlier, Evan, he wants now billing on the show if we're going to keep having him on every week. So I denied that request. But also, Matt has not brought breakfast yet to Breakfast with Bill, and that's part of the training. So, Evan, please get the show
That's
notes.
what it takes.
But Matt, thanks for being back.
Sure.
And for those who don't know, Matt Rogers has been with me here for 4 years, a little over 4 years, and he's a partner here with us. And Matt does a great job managing a lot of our clients as an outsourced fractional VP of sales. Great sales consultant, has a lot of good knowledge about all things business development. So Matt and I are going to talk about referrals today. And Matt, you talked earlier in our prep about referrals being a mindset, right? And how we have to move into the mindset of referrals versus just kind of lazily and clumsily falling into them, right?
And Bill, thank you for the kind words before. But I really believe referrals are part of prospecting, especially when we think about them as proactive, having a process, being intentional about them. A lot of times individuals think of referrals as just happening. And we'll talk how to set ourselves up later to naturally get them more. But at the first segment, I really think we need to talk about that intentionality, that process, getting in that mindset, being part of prospecting.
Sure, now more than ever because, often, excuse me, guys, I have a frog in my throat this morning, so I'll try not to clear my throat too loud. But in the past, so many times, many of us would have gotten referrals by just walking through offices or being in public, being someplace, and being around people, and that's not happening as much anymore. I remember, the good old days of that we call February, when you could walk through an office and see people and they'd say, "Hey, Bill, so glad I saw you. I was just talking about you the other day." Or, "Hey, you know what? I was just having a conversation yesterday with somebody. I think you can help." And that just happens, right? Now, remember, though, for that to happen, the prerequisites that have to be in place. And, our friend Greg Weimer likes to always say, to gain a referral or even win a piece of business, you have to be deemed an expert in your field, and you have to be top of mind when the need arises. So something to think about, right? We just can't go running out into the world. And this happens a lot of times when we're new to an industry that is heavily requires referrals to survive, often in financial services, insurance, what have you. But many times we gain referrals by just being in place. Grow that brand. Be intentional about, as Matt said, be intentional about gaining referrals and asking for them or letting people know that you're open to them. One thing I just was reminded of, oftentimes people will say, "How's business?" Or, "Boy, can you guys take on new work?" Right? You have a thought?
Exactly. And I think a lot of times we just say, we're busy. We're good. We're busy.
We hit our busy button, right? You remember the Staples button that everybody used to have on the no button that used to be on everybody's desk? I think more than ever, people walk around with busy buttons on our chest. And as soon as somebody says, "Hey, how you doing?" You go, busy, right? And we just are all wearing our busy button. That doesn't convey a sense of openness and convey, I'm open to work.
Yeah, and I think especially coming out of the pandemic, or at least the onset of the pandemic, we were talking to some of our clients of be candid, right? Be honest. We're working hard. We're looking to fill the pipeline. There's nothing wrong with saying that, because when you talk about that, oftentimes people are saying, "Oh, what's a good client look like to you? How can I help?" Right? Who should you be talking to?
Yeah, people love to help.
Exactly. So by just saying busy, I think is a failed opportunity for most. And I know one of our clients has some non-salespeople today on Breakfast with Bill. And part of the mindset, I think, asking for a referral is okay. It's not bad.
No matter what part of the business you're in,
Yep.
right? You can be in the controller, finance role, operations role. it's a great way to contribute to the business success. You don't have to be in a purely sales role to let somebody know that your organization's open to new work and appreciates others thinking of you and trusting you enough to give you a referral. So absolutely, if you're in a non-business development role or a non-sales role, it's still okay to let somebody know, hey, I always like to say we're one client away from where we want to be, because it conveys to somebody we're busy, but it also conveys that, we're taking referrals. And I say that somewhat jokingly and facetiously to people because we're always open to work, right? Everybody thinks we have to have that perception or to project into the world we're so busy that we might not be able to take on new work. And okay, well, how about just being authentic, right? Authenticity goes a long way. And as we always talk about with leaders, the two greatest traits of a leader are vulnerability and authenticity. Be authentic. You don't have to pretend you're something you're not. If you're filling the pipeline, who isn't right now? Who isn't worried about getting referrals right now? Who isn't trying to win new work? So no matter the stage of the business you're in, or the function, I should say, of the business you're in, it's okay to let people know we're in growth mode.
Absolutely. And I think part of that is really having a process around referrals. Oftentimes we start talking about referrals at the end of a quarter or when the pipeline dries up and the CEO or the leader of sales starts getting on the soapbox about we need more referrals. We need to talk about referrals. What's our referral process? And so I know I talk a lot about intentionality. I talk a lot about process. I love both of those things, but I really think if it's going to be part of our prospecting mix, we have to treat it like a process. What's our cadence? When are we going to ask for a referral? If it's a high turn, a lot of sales, daily sales, and you pass it to customer service, at what point are we going to ask for a referral? Are we going to have pre-referral meetings when we do bring those people in, maybe customer services or a brand services, someone like that? Prepare for it. And make sure that we're both on the same page. And, oh, by the way, when we get one, say thank you.
Yeah, and that's a great point, though, about preparing others, when you're in a sales role or a business development role, preparing others that are going to have interactions with the customer, preparing others who are either in technical sales or operations and delivery and account services roles to have those conversations with the customer when they go out into the market. That's a great point. And then, we'll say this now, we should maybe say it at the end again, but thank you. Thank you is so important. When people ask us what our sales process is, or we talk about sales process, we like to talk about how we go from hello to thank you, right? Because hello is how we get engaged with referrals, prospecting, whatever it might be. Thank you is what we should be saying at the end of that cycle. When somebody says yes and they trust us enough to enter into an agreement with us. Best way to say thank you, Matt, is write a handwritten note.
Oh.
Right? Okay.
Pulling out the handwritten note, which can lead to a referral.
Correct. Yeah, because those things live on desks. It's amazing how many times we'll walk into an office and there's a note card with our logo sitting on someone's desk. Because when you send somebody a handwritten note, it lives. It has staying power. It has survivability. People don't like throwing them away. How many do we have upstairs on our bookcase, right?
After last week, I think I counted 8.
Yeah, and that's just ones we haven't archived yet. They're ones that come in and we're so proud of them that we display them. So, don't be afraid. Or actually, not only don't be afraid, we encourage you, send thank you notes. And it's a great way to let somebody know they matter. It's so much more important than a text or an email. But how do we ask for those referrals? We're big fans of having client review meetings, and those client review meetings, depending on the frequency, the intensity of the relationship, or the nature of your business, can be anywhere from quarterly to annually. So whenever they might be, if we have quarterly reviews or we have annual reviews, that's a great time, we think, to ask for a referral. Because in that meeting, we want to be asking questions about how we're doing. Oftentimes people say, the best time to ask for a referral is when somebody's signing, the new agreement with you and they're deciding to work with you. I don't know how I feel about that, because, I think for us to earn a referral, we can't ask for a referral before we've earned trust. Right?
When your words and actions are consistent over time, our favorite definition of trust.
Yeah, and before we've earned trust, if we're asking for a referral, that's about us, right? That's leading with our needs versus leading with their needs. And when we take that servant's heart into the world, that's probably not the right time to ask for a referral. It's only after somebody has said, you've demonstrated value to me. You've given me something good. You've helped me. Who else do you think we could help? Who's the one person in your network you think we could help?
And I think the aspect of being belly to belly, or maybe not in person, but at least over the phone.
Over Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom. Simply because I think oftentimes, I'm not saying they're bad and not to do them, but surveys, surveys for feedback, referral surveys.
Yeah.
I think they could be another aspect. We talk about diversified approaches, so that's 1B. Yeah. Maybe when it comes to referrals, but our guidance is don't hide behind them, because we can have so much more success by having a conversation, asking how we're doing, which, by the way, is a quality assurance measure. If we're asking about how we're doing and something is bubbling to the surface, it's our opportunity as a salesperson or a non-salesperson involved with the prospect or customer to fix it.
Yeah. We like to ask, what's the one thing we could be doing better, right? Because too often if we say to somebody, how are we doing, they might just give you, you're great, you're fine, good, whatever. And it's not meaningful because we haven't given them the permission at that point to tell us the truth. Where when we say to somebody, what's one thing we could be doing better, you get an answer, and sometimes it's not pleasant, right? Sometimes that answer is, well, one thing. Well, let's start with this. How about you do what you say you were going to do? Or, how about you start billing us on time? Or how about you and all these issues pop up. And, you think about that. If you go into that conversation saying, oh, I'm going to ask for a referral today. But first we go through our check process of making sure we're delivering what they need us to deliver, and we're delivering what we said we would deliver. And somebody says, no, it's not that great. The experience with you hasn't been wonderful. As a matter of fact, you're falling down. Well, we always are looking for new business, but think about how important it is to maintain the relationships we have and maintain the business we have. So if you go into that conversation and you uncover an issue, you uncover that you're at risk of losing a great client, right? Well, you might not have gained a referral, but if you can act on that, that's better than a referral. Mm-hmm. If you can maintain that work, maintain that relationship because you gave them permission to tell the truth about how you're doing, I think that's valuable.
Yeah, and if you do stumble across a problem, I think tying together one of the videos I did, I think last week or early this week, before we jump to conclusions, ask them, what does a successful outcome look like, right, to this challenge? Get clear next steps, set mutual expectations, much like we would in a sale. You can do that solving problems as well. If I get that information by Thursday afternoon at 2, does that meet your expectations? Being able to do that. But going back to referrals.
Before you do, you hit on something really good there. What Matt was pointing there was owning it. And Matt was, notice when Matt said if somebody gives you something that's bad, don't get defensive. Notice he didn't say, well, tell them how it's not our fault. Don't get defensive. Own it, right? Okay, well, sorry you're experiencing that. How can we fix it, right? What's success look like for you? What's a better alternative? What do you need us to do? I'm going to own it. And, I always go back to in a previous career, we dropped the ball with a client. It was a major drop. And that client called us. We owned it. We went and visited them and told them where the mistake happened, how it happened. Told them that, it would never happen again for any other customer because of them pointing out the flaw in our software. That client became a referenceable client for us. They went from calling and saying they wanted to cancel to becoming a referenceable client that would take calls on our behalf. So own it. If in this process of seeking feedback for how we're doing with the intent of asking for referrals, and if in that process we have feedback that tells us you could be doing a better job, we'll stop pursuing the referral and own the client problem, because that's what's most important right now. So, Evan, you gave me a finger there looking like we have something, a question?
Yeah, it looks like we've got Jesse Gary joining us from LinkedIn. Jesse's been weekly drop-in here, so we're happy that we're building a consistent audience here. Anyway, she said that a lot of times owning that challenge can lead to a great review on Google.
That's very true, Jesse. That's very true. And I think people, it goes back to authenticity, right? Vulnerability and authenticity. One of our favorite quotes here comes from Vince Lombardi, And Vince Lombardi said every year to his team, we're going to pursue perfection, and in the process, we're going to catch excellence. And that should be our approach, right? We're not going to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes. But if we hold that as a goal, we can achieve excellence, and people will reward us for that with loyalty and I think referrals.
Mm-hmm. So continuing down the actual referral path, we talked about what's the one thing we can improve upon different than is there anything we can do? How are we doing? I think when we're asking for a referral, Bill mentioned it a couple podcast or sessions ago. Who's the one person we could be helping like you? Using that one person language is important because it truly makes them think. And I had a couple of discussions just this past week. Language of anything, whether it's, is there anything I can do to help? Is there anyone? Very rarely do we get an answer to that. So utilize those one thing questions. Who's one person we could be helping like you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always like to say, who's the one person in your network you think we could help? Own your language. Make it yours. Make it comfortable. Make it something that's repeatable for you. It's muscle memory. You don't want to be thinking as you ask, right? You just want to be doing and just get in that process of muscle memory. So, again, going back to asking them, how are we doing, right? We think we're doing a great job. More importantly, how do you think we're doing? What's the one thing we could be doing better? If we get nothing, they're like, just, I don't know, like, no, it's good. They're telling us things are great. It's great. Who's the one person you think we could help? Who's the one person in your network you think we could help?
And pause after you ask.
Give them a chance to answer.
Because oftentimes I think we ask those high impact questions and we're a little hesitant, and especially if we're doing it for the first time, and we fill the space. We don't give them an opportunity to answer, so it's really important.
Yeah, we always rush to fill that silence because we're so uncomfortable with it, but it's funny, things that you just assume, and Matt always says never assume, always confirm, and here I am assuming somebody might know to wait for the answer. But who's the one person you think we could help? And we only know this if we ask, right? We only know how we're doing if we ask. We only know if they're willing to share somebody with us. Don't ask scared, right? Don't ask people like, well, if you wouldn't mind, would it be okay if, you put all these qualifiers in it. It makes people think, maybe I shouldn't give them a referral, right? Where if you just ask, you get things. You just ask with confidence and you ask like it's natural, you'll get great feedback. So who's the one person in your network you think we could help? They'll usually tell you, and then it becomes pretty important to think about how do we execute that referral, which is where a lot of people fall down, and I'm sure a lot of people joining us today are thinking to yourself, man, I've asked some of these questions and I've gotten referrals, but it never actually leads to business. And the reason it doesn't lead to business is because we fall down on the execution, where somebody will say, oh, yeah, you have to talk to Sally. I'll connect to you via email. I'm going to send an email connecting to you. Where does that go? Do we actually get to connect with Sally? So when people tell you that, you need to be prepared for what you want. You need to be prepared for the best way to make an introduction that is going to be fruitful and is going to be easy to execute.
Yeah, and just real quick, you mentioned not being scared. Think about in your own personal life, your own personal network. Who do you refer the most? Is it a doctor, a dentist, your auto body, whatever that may be, or even someone in your office? Headsets, right? You loved how the people we ordered headsets from. Mm-hmm. Think about that. If someone came up to you and asked you, do you have a headset person? Or who's your doctor? And they are doing good work, you trust them, you have no problem giving a referral. Mm-hmm. So next time it comes asking a referral, think about that. Don't have that head trash that we shouldn't, or it's a little bit sneaky, or it's dirty. You would absolutely give someone the referral to people that you trust. So just wanted to mention that.
When I see people that have teeth, I refer them to my dentist because I love him so much, right? Like I look at somebody, like, oh, you have a tooth. Call Matt Lands. He's the greatest. And it's because of the experience and the way that they engage you and they make you feel. So I think if you're delivering great quality and you're delivering a service that people are happy with and you're delivering on a relationship, people are happy to refer you. and pass you on. It doesn't have to be something you're afraid to ask.
Mm-hmm. So just getting back to the referral, you ask who's that one person that we could help in your network, however you ask it, with some similarities. And if they do mention someone, ask, why does that person come to mind? It's very important not to skip that step, because we're able to figure out why that person is coming to mind and what's the best way we get in contact with them. What's the best way to get
Don't skip over that, because that question of why do you think we can help them is huge, right? You know, when they mention somebody, why do you think we can help them? They give you the path, and then that is information that we want to be able to use when we have that setup conversation that accelerates intimacy with that referral source, right? It accelerates that relationship. And if somebody says, well, I'll connect to you via email, don't be afraid to push back and say, you know what, I don't want to keep you involved, or I don't want to waste your time. I recognize how valuable your time and theirs is. In the past, we've found the best way to make these introductions is if we do blank, whatever's comfortable with you. I like set up phone calls. So I might say to somebody, you know, in the past we've found it's just easier if we were to find 15 minutes on the calendar for you to make the introduction, and then we can take it from there. I'm like, yeah, okay, that works. Very rarely do people push back on that. They're comfortable with that. Some people who are like super connectors get excited, and they might say, no, I'm setting up golf, or I'm going to set up drinks, or I'm going to set up lunch. I love all those things. I love golf. I love lunch a lot. I love drinks. All good things. But it's tough sometimes to make that connection over those events to a business relationship, or to accelerate to the actual referral, or difficult to schedule, where finding 15 minutes on the calendar can be much more expeditious and timely. So think about that. And don't say no. Don't say, oh, no, I don't want to do drinks with you. Say, great, would love to do that. Can we set up a 15-minute prep call? Maybe might be quicker for this week.
Yeah, and I think at worst, maybe an email introduction being on it. You know, that's I don't want to call it a fallback plan, but I think to be realistic with some industries and just the volume some people might have, they'll be playing golf every single day.
Which I think some people here do. But no, we the emails are much more difficult to execute on, right? Because we surrender control. And if we can get somebody on the phone, we can then establish a clear next step. If somebody's like, nah, I just would be more comfortable emailing you guys or texting you guys, great, we'll take it. But it's better if we have something on the calendar, phone call, and a clear next step versus just that that connection.
And the comment there was just, it's more than, hey, I'll connect them with you.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And that's good.
Yeah. And one thing to keep in mind as well is if you're going to ask for referrals, be prepared to answer the question, what are you looking for? What does a good referral look like? I think oftentimes getting back to assume, we get that question. I've seen salespeople stumble.
Yeah. Know what we need. Know your business. Know what you need. Know what a good client looks like for you, or a good customer looks like for you. And practice this, right, guys? I mean, it all goes back to preparedness and muscle memory. The first time you ask these questions, it's going to be awkward. The first couple times you say to somebody, who's the one person in your network you think we could help, it's going to feel really weird. It's going to feel like you're imposing on somebody. Those are muscles you haven't used in the past. Prepare yourself. Practice with a colleague, with a peer, with a coach, whomever. Practice, right? And then get that muscle memory set for next time, and it'll become second nature for you. And before long, you're going to have a full pipeline. Referrals are going to come very natural. You're going to know who your great referral sources are. And be prepared to go to those referral sources. We talk about centers of influence. Who are those people that know a lot of people like the ones you want to be in front of? How do we get in front of more of them? Right? That's a big part of networking. How do we get in front of those centers of influence that we know can help us? So good luck. Don't be afraid to go ask for a referral today, right? Maybe Matt and I will even go ask for a referral today and practice what we preach. But it's been good being with you guys today. Again, we're wearing some pink, keeping up the October vigil here and the October message. For those we love, those women in our life that we love. So please spread that message this month. And hope you guys have a great week. We'll be back next week with a topic that is to be determined. So please feel free to shoot in questions to us via LinkedIn, directly via our website, via email, or to contact us form, or even Facebook, and we'll be sure to put those on the list. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Take care. Matt, thank you again for being here. God bless. We'll see you guys.